Welcome, one and all, to the Magic Music Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Matthew, and in this series, we will be discussing various occult and esoteric practices in music, art, and culture. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the unknown together. Enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 2. So, in the last episode, I kind of gave a brief introduction to the podcast and what we were going to be discussing. Talked a little bit about Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, and Aleister Crowley, and how they kind of intersect with each other, and then about some other stuff as well. So, thanks for checking out episode 1. But now, this is something I alluded to in the first episode, we were going to be discussing dreams. And what are dreams? Where do they come from? Right? Is it your brain, or is it something else that's being kind of projected into you? Basically, so I'm going to use Chat GPT. I asked it some questions, and we're just kind of going to go through and just explore the topic of dreams together, and how dreams can affect songwriters and musicians, and how they can translate their dreams into reality, I always thought dreams were, it was a way of telling you something, about yourself that's maybe suppressed, or you have this desire for something more, and who knows what that is. That can be money, that can be fame, it can be to get, a bunch of men and women to like you. Dreams can be anything, you can have really beautiful dreams and really horrific dreams, and those can affect the types of songs that you write. So, let's see, ChatGPT says, I asked, what are dreams? And it replied, dreams are sequences of thoughts, images, sensations, and emotions that occur in the mind during sleep, especially during the REM or rapid eye movement phase, when brain activity is high and resembles that of being awake. It kind of goes into a breakdown of stuff, but yeah, dreams are, you're really moving around. That's the thing. You're not just laying there and, ooh, someone texted me. Boop. Yeah, it's your body is reacting, in a way. And if you only get a couple hours of sleep, you're not going to wake up feeling rested. I feel 9 times out of 10. But if you get at least 6 or 7 hours, I think, at least for me, I'm kind of a night owl, so I'll stay up super late, and some nights I'll go to bed super early. For my job, I have to wake up pretty early in the morning, and I've had to adjust some things around because I just changed my work schedule, so I basically have more time in the afternoon, which is pretty nice, and I can take naps if I want to, so I'm going to have to get up at 3:45 in the morning, 4 a.m., and my shift starts at 5 to 1:30, which is pretty nice. Let's see. So, a scientific or neurological view, brain activity. During REM sleep, the brain is highly active. Different regions light up, especially the limbic system, which handles emotions, and the visual cortex. However, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logic and reasoning, is less active. This is partly why dreams can feel surreal or illogical. That's pretty interesting, because that is kind of stripped away, all the silliness. Reality is just reality, it is how it is, but dreams take it and they remove all the seriousness of life. So it's whimsical, yet things can feel a lot more potent. If you have a really horrific nightmare about some guy chasing you with a knife or something, like, or something else, like demonic creatures, or yeah, experiencing some really dark, evil stuff that resides in all of us. It's just hidden deep down for most people, I feel like. But then, because we suppress that, most of the time we want to help each other and love each other and be kind to each other. But yeah, the world's dark, but it's also light. There are good people, there are bad people. It's very strange. And then to go further, memory and processing. Some theories suggest dreams are a way for the brain to process and consolidate memories, emotions, and experiences from the day. So if you have something really stressful that happened to you that day, whether at work or at home, or if you're just going through some wild shit, like, that's going to go and like plant itself and like root itself in your mind, and it's going to continue to grow and flourish. And if you don't confront it, it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it completely explodes. Wow, it's beautiful out right now. So, it's raining and stuff. I love the rain. The rain's nice. It's really soothing, when you don't have to really deal with the problems that rain has sometimes, like, flooding, or your basement getting wet. So yeah, that's very interesting. Psychological view. Okay, so Sigmund Freud believed dreams are a window into the unconscious mind, where repressed desires and thoughts express themselves in symbolic form. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Things can kind of come to you in like different ways. If something's like suppressed, yeah, it can kind of flourish in a dream, something that you want, something that like you're craving. That desire is like a very strong word. You can have like impulses where you're not really thinking straight, but it's like, if you suppress that during the day, it's going to come out at night when you're not conscious. And then Carl Jung, one of my favorites, love that guy, thought dreams reveal truths and personal growth potential, using symbols that stem from a collective unconscious. Yeah, this idea of a collective unconscious where we experience the same things. Like there's like almost like a dream world. Since we're all related, we're all going to have very, very, very similar experiences, and some differ, of course. You have different occupations in life. You can become a lawyer or you can become a plumber, which both are great jobs, and you can do whatever you want. You really can, but yeah, revealing things to yourself, it's like looking at yourself in a mirror and you're like scolding yourself, sometimes. And that can make you better. It's like, oh, why did I do this? And I replay it in my head. And then you start to think about, like, if those had like, that has a consequence in real life, and my dream is trying to tell me to like do something to be more kind or to apologize to somebody, then you should follow your dreams, like literally and figuratively. Like if you follow your dreams, like they can tell you something about yourself. I guess it's similar to psychedelics too, where it can really like pry open, your third eye. And it like forces you to look at yourself. Today, many psychologists see dreams as the brain's way of problem solving, emotional regulation, or stress processing. Yeah, it's like something that's supposed to help you. Like if we didn't dream, like we wouldn't know how to like maybe fix certain things in our lives. And like, did humans always dream, or did it come with evolution? That's another thing. It's like, is there like a dream world? Like, our brains connect? Are brains like connected to something? Like this invisible tether that connects you to this other realm. And is that world connected to other worlds? It can go on and on and on. But there's really no way to like study dreams. I think like it would be pretty amazing in the future if you can hook someone's brain up to a computer and maybe AI can replicate what that person's like seeing. And what's odd to me is that, these really like crude and, almost like childlike AI videos are going to grow. They're going to grow up. Like, I'm going to watch AI get bigger and bigger and better and better. And it's going to be like, I'm watching this thing expand and grow up. That's like, it's oddly a part of us because it is us. We're projecting ourselves into a computer. And then maybe AI can like hone in on your brain signals, I guess. And then it can pop up on a screen and you're like, wow, that looks like something you'd see on like Adult Swim. You know what I mean? Like something really like crazy and insane. And like the shows I try to avoid actually, because they really, really mess me up. So I don't really watch all that weird, stuff that's kind of like a little intense. It's almost like too psychedelic. So if you watch that stuff a lot, like, Godspeed. But kind of watch just YouTube, honestly, and like a couple shows on HBO. Some on Netflix, but let's see. Next is philosophical and cultural views. In many cultures, dreams are seen as messages, prophecies, or connections to the spiritual realm. It's very interesting. I'm sure there are different, tribes throughout time that, believe that there's something else that's out there, and it's just a part of this big process. Sorry guys, I gotta type in my laptop stuff. Okay, sorry guys, we're back. So yeah, messages, it can be sending things to you. Prophecies, like also seeing throughout time, the past, present, or future, like maybe you'll see something that is going to come true. Like I had a dream that, I don't know, I saw this young girl like running around and she was probably like maybe 4. She had like light brown hair. And I was like, man, like, well, would I have a daughter like that one day? Like I didn't see her face though. So it's like, it only reveals parts to you. So I thought that was interesting. So it's probably trying to reveal the future to me, or like open up this, like a door where you're kind of just peeking through a little bit. And then the spiritual realm. Yeah, there might be ghosts or like deities that are trying to like contact you. And yeah, you know what? So I guess I'll kind of tell my story about what happened to me a few years ago that I said in the first podcast I would kind of go into more detail about it, but I had 2 great aunts. They were incredible. They were the nicest human beings on the planet. They passed away. My one great aunt, she had dementia, but my other great aunt was like sharp as a tack. She could like remember literally like everything, from years ago. So it's kind of crazy to me. It's like you don't know what you're going to get when you get to a certain age, right? So it's like you can get anything, anything can happen to you, anything. And it's like, your life is on this path that keeps going forward. It doesn't look back. It doesn't look in the rear view. That's for sure. So they both lived together, and my one great aunt passed a few years ago, and then, which is the one that had dementia, and then my other great aunt passed, I think a few months later. So it's like they had this connection because they were connected to my great grandmother. So yeah, it's like one of those things, great grandmother and great grandfather. Yeah, they were just kind of like tethered together. And I thought that was beautiful that they lived together for so long, because they just enjoyed each other's company. And then we'd go to events and stuff, and it would be really nice seeing them. They always ask like how I'm doing, really interested in my life and seeing what I was into and my hobbies and interests and things like that, or where I was working at the time. So yeah, it's really nice to it's really nice that I was able to be a part of their life in some way, shape, or form, and that they were a huge part of mine, and I miss them dearly. Think about them a lot. And I lived in Georgia, and this was about, I want to say almost like 4 years ago now, I think, but I was exhausted, and I remember laying down for the night, and I had this wild dream that, I was kind of like in this water park, and then I was kind of swimming a little bit. There was this giant waterfall, and that's where the water was coming from. And went up the waterfall, and I got to this house, and the house was like very, very like homey. And then there was like a sliding door, and we just went through, and it was just like a living room. And it was my best friend's living room, like to a T, like replica and everything. Like, it was insane. The amount of detail that was literally in every square inch. So I sat down on one of the couches. It wasn't facing the TV. It was off to like the side, and like you had to kind of turn your head to the left to like look at the TV. And the TV was on the left side of the wall, hanging from the top. And I was by myself. I believe there were some other people there. It's a little fuzzy on who. I think my friend was there, but then he leaves, and then I was kind of by myself. And so I was sitting there watching the TV, and it kind of started to morph a little bit, and then I felt like a presence, and then it was like I looked to my right, and my one great aunt was there, and then I looked to my left, and then my other great aunt was there, and they were the same age as I was, I'm pretty sure. I mean, at the time I was like 26, I think. Around that age, yeah. Mid to late 20s when I had the dream. So they were like in their mid-20s, and they looked beautiful, because I saw them die, when they were a lot older. I didn't get to see them when they were younger. And it was trippy, because it's almost like they like stepped back in time and started like discussing things with me. And I remember like just saying like, wow, like you guys look great. You guys look so beautiful. Like, I really miss you. How's everything been? I have so much to talk to you about. And, they both said like, don't worry, like we're in a good place. You don't have to think that we are, being hurt or this and that, like it was like peaceful. There was this like, this light and the kids say aura now. So there was this aura about them that was very like a light being, like, I don't know how to describe it, like a warmth, like a nice cozy blanket, a nice hot cozy blanket, you're all warm and fuzzy, you're laying down for the night. So it was like that. It was like they were hugging me, but without hugging me. And yeah, and then I think we just kind of talked about a little bit more. I think it was kind of like babble, but it was potent, and they said, we miss everyone. I didn't really go into detail about where they were. I don't know. And I remember that's when the dream ended, and I woke up, and I took a minute to process it, like literally like 60 seconds. And I was like, Oh my God, like that was the most surreal, lucid dream I've ever had in my life. It was like truly pretty insane. And I just wept. I wept on the side of my bed. And I was just like in shock. And I was just like, it was saddening. But it was also nice because that means I think they were there. It's like I swear I have guardian angels. Like, I almost got in like an accident one time, like driving to my grandfather's funeral. This woman just pulled out. She saw me coming and continues to pull out. And I'm like, man, that was a close call. And I just got a new car, I think. Yeah. Just paid it off, actually. So now the bank or state do not own my vehicle, so I can drive around. As an owner of a nice car. So that's fun. But yeah, it really affected me, deep down. The dream had a very, very potent impact on my psyche and just how my attitude changed. I was kind of in this funk, and then that brought me back. It was like I dipped down pretty far, and then I shot back up to where I was, and then, we ended up moving around a little bit after that, but it was a nice embrace, and to know that they were still kind of with us, in some way, shape, or form. So it's truly amazing. And it felt real. It felt so incredibly real. I felt them, it was like I felt their touch, and I think that was what like really got to me. It's like when people say these prophets have visions, that might be a vision, and I can't describe any other dream like it. Maybe it was just exhaustion or depression, like I have no idea, but this thing just like, they came down, they were like two angels. It was really crazy. And I know in the last podcast, talked about like, religion and stuff, but my one friend is very, very religious, and the idea of God itself is more explorable to me than just kind of focusing on one aspect of it. Like, I think there's so much to learn, so much to encompass. And if it works for you, then it works for you, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But yeah, I'm here to explore all of the mysticism and all of the strange things that go on and take place. So let's just move on. I know I described the dream, but now let's see some fun facts. We dream about 2 hours per night on average. That's a pretty long time, 2 hours. You dream a lot. You can dream about a lot of stuff, or have one massive dream, which I had the other night that probably maybe only lasted like a minute, but it felt like a saga. You ever have those saga dreams where it's like you're going on this quest, and then you wake up, and then you fall back asleep, and then you continue where you left off in the dream? It's like when you pause a video game. That's kind of what it is. It's like boop, pause, boop, start. And it's really pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. It's like you're playing another character in another world, which might even be, a video game. Lucid dreams are when you're aware you're dreaming, and sometimes you can even control them. That's happened to me before. I've been able to control certain parts of my dreams for a little while, and then like the dream almost catches on. Or like you kind of... Yeah, it's a very, very weird sensation. It's like, this isn't reality, but this is very interesting type of thing. And yeah, I've definitely... I don't know, I haven't been able to control an entire dream, just certain little, like, parts of it. And nightmares are often triggered by stress, trauma, or even food or sleep disruptions. Yeah, I mean, that's happened to me. I've had more nightmares when I'm super stressed, super tired, super anxious. Like, I have pretty high anxiety, I would say, but, I don't know if my dreams are like really like that anxiety ridden. I think it's more of like they're a little bit calming, I guess, like, but yeah, the other night I had a pretty bizarre dream. Like I was at work and like things just kind of morphed and got really weird and like inappropriate and like it was just insane, like what happened. But let's see. So to connect dreams to music, I think they're tethered in some way, shape, or form. I don't want to quote or like, misquote somebody, but I think you can find like on YouTube or like, on another platform or like a clip or whatever social media site of John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers talking about how he has like this thing. He's like, he doesn't know where songs come from. They come to him. It's like the song is begging to be written. Almost like there's this urge to get this like thing out of you. And whether that's just a bunch of notes in a specific order or like singing a vocal line and expressing yourself in voice, there's that spark that turns into a flame, that turns into a brush fire, that turns into a forest fire. It keeps like elevating, Like the more that you write the song, it's like, okay, and then you add more stuff to it, and then you have this physical thing that's moving through the air and into people's eardrums, and they're like, wow, that sounds really cool. Like, let's take a song like Snow by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like that whole thing like came to him. And he's also a genius, by the way. His solo stuff is really, it's so good. It's just so good. It's like alternative. It's like avant-garde. It's like pop. It's like, rock and metal. It's like it goes all over the place, and he makes more electronic music, which I'm really, really super into. I think he likes Square Pusher. It was like video game music, arcade stuff. Glitchy stuff, which I'm really into as well. So I'm surprised, or I'm not surprised that he listens to that kind of stuff and more and other types of music to get inspiration. I encourage you guys to listen to a ton of diverse music. I go from listening to reggae to bossa nova to hard rock to lo-fi, like it's just to country, like whatever my mood is, like I've been doing a bunch of yard work, and I put on I was just in the mood for Presence by Led Zeppelin, because since the last podcast, I've been thinking about Zeppelin pretty heavy, and also reading a lot of Aleister Crowley stuff as well to get more like familiar. Like I think I might do a review of Cocaine. It's a very short essay that he wrote, I guess, about the pros and cons of the drug and how, yeah, I can get into that more, but how that relates to making a song, right? Like you have guys that are doing this stuff and other drugs in general that can change the flow of the song and the vibe of the song. If you get super stoned, like that song might be a little bit slower, laid back, or maybe not, maybe more aggressive. It depends on the type that you're taking, right? Some things are stimulants, some things are depressants. I'm going to try to think of, so there are a bunch of, famous musicians that have turned their dreams into actual songs. So, the first one that comes to mind is Paul McCartney. I believe he had some kind of a dream, or he woke up with some kind of melody in his head, and he like rushed over to the piano and like tried to play it. He was convinced, I guess he plagiarized it because it felt so like a complete piece of work. Even the lyrics and everything, it was all there for him. And that song was Yesterday, which is a really beautiful song. I'm a big Beatles fan. When I was younger, I was kind of like conceited, and I was like, oh yeah, like, The Beatles, I know they're like super popular, but like I don't want to listen to the Beatles. I want to listen to like the Rolling Stones or like other really amazing classic rock bands. Led Zeppelin or whatever. I thought I was being like edgy by not really listening to them, which when I look back is really, really stupid. I missed out on a lot of cool genres when I was younger. I was mostly into like hard rock and metal, electronic a little bit, but then I kind of branched out as I got older, which I think people do. They're just looking for something cool or something cooler to listen to. They might get tired of a certain genre and they're like, you know what? I've been listening to like rock for like 2 weeks. I'm feeling something more, mellow. And then you'll listen to like more folky stuff. That's what I do. I try to switch it up. I guess Keith Richards also. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. The Rolling Stones song. It's crazy. Like he reportedly recorded the riff in his sleep and had like a tape recorder next to his bed. Woke up, mumbled the famous riff into it, and then fell back asleep. And then, it had like 40 minutes of snoring afterwards. So it's like, you can like just came to him. And that's kind of crazy. Like that maybe he was having a dream where it kind of sounds like a horn. Like it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like funky. Then Billy Joel, let's see, The River of Dreams. So he dreamed the melody and even the lyrics. And that's pretty crazy. Like, I think he said that it had like a gospel vibe and he didn't want to record it. Or something like that. And then, let's see, Sting. The Police, Every Breath You Take. Sting had said that parts of the song came to him in a half-asleep state, and he wrote them down very quickly. It's often described as a stalker anthem. Yes, it is. But he says it was written during a rough personal time, likely fueled by emotional dreams. Yeah, I mean, if you're going through something like that, it's going to manifest, if you let it sink deep inside of you. I have to give ChatGPT credit because it said dreams are basically the original jam session of the subconscious. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like you take what you heard during the day and it kind of scrambles it up a little bit. And then you're left with this thing that's like, it just like shoots out to you. It like reaches out to you and grabs you for a minute and you're like, hey, like pay attention to me. Like this is important. Like you should do this, don't overthink it, just do it. That's life, I think. Of course, I tend to overthink things a lot, and I think that a lot of people do. So just kind of like going with the flow of life. So what's the worst that can happen? And then it gets into some, artists and writers and such, like Salvador Dali, his work, The Persistence of Memory, William Blake, and different writers, Mary Shelley, who famously wrote Frankenstein, and she said it came during a nightmare, during a stormy night in Geneva while staying with Lord Byron. They were all trying to write ghost stories. So yeah, I mean, if they're writing some scary shit and if you're in a castle or something, because Lord Byron sounds like he'd be in a castle, not like a little cottage. It doesn't make sense to me. That would have to be some kind of a castle. And it's like storming outside. It's like really, you have to walk around with a lantern and you're writing ghost stories. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna definitely come up with something that's pretty intense and horrifying, and the human mind creates these things, right? Or actually, I shouldn't say that. Maybe it's either the human mind or it's coming from another plane, but it channels into the human brain and then we expel it in the way that we visualize it in our mind. Your mind can't like project stuff like onto paper, like you have to. It courses through you, and then you take action, and then you do that thing. You were almost instructed to do by something. Like possessions, if you're possessed by something, whether it's like, an emotion or an actual being or an entity that takes over you, it's really terrifying to experience that. Let's see, and then Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, literally dreamed of the main scene where Jekyll turns into Hyde. And then he woke up, he wrote it furiously. His wife said she saw him acting out scenes in his sleep. So if he's like moving around and shit, he's gonna say some things or like, do some things. It's pretty nuts. It's like he himself is transforming into this like monster, this monstrosity. And then also Edgar Allan Poe, my homeboy, dreamlike horror. Poe's stories often echo the eerie, fragmented logic of dreams and nightmares. While not always directly from dreams, he intentionally mimicked their emotional intensity and surreal nature. That's pretty cool. Most writers were like writing about happy, sunny things and joy because they were too scared to face the atrocities of life and the darkness. And Edgar Allan Poe, he kind of edged with the darkness a little bit, He like played with it, flirted with it. I don't know a lot about him, but he just seems like an interesting character. For sure. Sure did a lot of strange things.